Well, it's now Saturday, and thank God I can do this on the Alienware, as it's now down. Wow, hard to believe it's been the final week now. It's now time for my Week 17 picks of the 2019 NFL season last week. Oh, God. 9 and freaking 7. Why did everyone keep choking all these games, for God's sake? I think it's like 2 weeks straight of going 10-6, now 9-7. Jeez, nothing's going right for me to wrap up the year. And of course, here's the playoff standings, which I have no idea if I'm going to be able to show because I don't have the slides since they're on the desktop, which I don't have at the moment. But I know off the top of my head, in the AFC, it's the Ravens and Patriots with the byes, with the Titans at the Chiefs, and the Bills at the Texans. In the NFC, it's the 49ers and Packers with the byes, with the Vikings at the Saints, and the Seahawks at the Eagles. And so instead of doing my picks, I just want to hurry up and get this video done. So let's get to my Week 17 picks. So we start Week 17 tomorrow with the Falcons at the Buccaneers, as the Buccaneers trying to avoid their third straight losing season, trying to get 8-8 and have a non-losing season for the first time since 2016, as this game could be offensive as hell. The Falcons last week beat the Jaguars. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers, once again, Winston decided to show up, throwing all those interceptions all over the place. A game they should have easily won. And God, he can't stop throwing all those turnovers. This game could be offensive as hell like last year, but it really is going to come down to, is Winston going to stop throwing all those turnovers? But we, of course, know that won't probably happen, and that's why I'm picking the Falcons to get this. And then we get to our first game with playoff implications, as it's the Dolphins at the Patriots. For the Patriots, if they win or the Chiefs lose, they will clinch first round bye for like the 10th year in a row. But of course, if they lose and the Chiefs win, they'll fall down to the third seed. So it's all in their favor beating the Dolphins. As the Dolphins, shit, I don't even remember. Oh, that's right. They almost blew it against the Bengals. Remember, they had like a 31-13 lead or something like crazy like that. And then they let the Bengals score 23 unanswered points in the fourth and force overtime. Almost tied it too. So yeah, almost choked that. And the Patriots, of course, had a hard-fought game against the Bills, and they managed to get it out in the end. And of course, who we can? The Patriots are going to easily win this unless the Dolphins do some incredible game where the Patriots decide to have an epic choke. And then it's the Bears at the Vikings, as the Bears try to avoid their first losing season since 2017. And there's no playoff implications here. The Vikings, of course, in the playoffs, they're stuck as a 6th seed no matter what. It's just a matter of who they're going to play. So who knows if they're going to be starting all their stars or not. As the Bears got their ass kicked against the Chiefs, and the Vikings got their ass kicked against the Packers on Monday night. That was absolutely embarrassing how badly you played. I have no idea if they're going to be resting their stars or not, since, like I said, they have nothing to play for. But I'm still going to pick the Vikings to get it. But then again, maybe the Bears will get like they did last year. And then it's the Chargers at the Chiefs. As Chiefs, here's some playoff implications. If they win and the Patriots lose, they will clinch first round bye for a second year in a row. But if they lose or the Patriots win, then they're stuck as the third seed. And they'll have to face either the Titans, Steelers, or Raiders. Have to see on that. The Chargers, oh boy, they blew it against the Raiders. Wow, that's pretty unusual. Usually you'd beat the shit out of the Raiders the last few years, but now you've got swept by them. That's pretty bad. And the Chiefs, well, I'm still worried about their offense actually, but defensively, they've gotten a lot better these last few weeks. Maybe they can actually be a scary team in the playoffs once again. Maybe they can scare the shit out of the Patriots and actually beat them again in the divisional round if they meet again, which the current scenes they would. But we'll see about that. But I'm going to pick the Chiefs for this one. And then it's the Packers at the Lions. And of course for the Packers, if they win, they will get first round bye for the first time since 2016. And if they win and the Seahawks lose, no, not the Seahawks. If they win and the 49ers lose to the Seahawks, they will get home field advantage for the first time since 2011. They need to win and they need the Seahawks to lose the 49ers to lose to get all that wrapped up. As the Packers got a very convincing victory against the Vikings last week in defensive struggle. And of course the Lions, as always, the Lions having, I think, the longest losing streak in the league, just can't get anything going their way, especially when Stafford went out with his injuries. Of course, who are you kidding me? I'm picking the Packers easily for this. And then it's the Browns at the Bengals, as the Bengals got their number 1 overall pick in the upcoming draft now. As we'll see if they'll go all the way down to 1-15. First team to go that low since the 2017 Browns. And of course, they had that offensive game against the Dolphins. They were down in the fourth quarter. They made their massive comeback, but they just couldn't seal it, which was better for them. That way they have the number 1 overall pick all secured. Meanwhile, the Browns got their asses kicked against the Ravens. Officially have another losing season, and of course another year out of the playoffs will make that 18 years away from the playoffs. And I'm picking the Browns for this one. I think it's pretty obvious, unless the Bengals decide to once again ruin their bad season and get another win. And then it's the Saints at the Panthers. So for the Saints, if they win and either the Packers or 49ers lose, they will get first round bye for second year in a row. But if they win and the 49ers and Packers both lose, they will get home field advantage for second year in a row. They need to win. They need the Packers and 49ers to both lose in order to get that. As the Saints had that hard-fought comeback against the Titans, it was really impressive. And the Panthers, of course, got their asses kicked against the Colts. No surprises. They are just an absolute free-for-all, and nothing's going to go their way. Interested to see what happened here. Maybe the last game in the Cam Newton era, so it sucks that ended so soon, probably. But I'm picking the Saints for this one. And then it's the Jets at the Bills. As the Jets, wow, that was very impressive. That defensive effort actually beat the Steelers. Of course, Steelers always struggle against a bad team, but I didn't figure it was going to be this time once again, as they've lost now 2 in a row when they visit the Jets. Meanwhile, the Bills, they actually had a hard-fought game against the Patriots, but they just couldn't tie it up and force overtime to get the win. Now the Bills, they are in the playoffs and they're stuck as the 5th seed no matter what, so they have nothing to play for, so maybe they'll rest their starters. And if that's the case, I could easily see the Jets win that, but I don't know off the top of my head. But I'm going to pick the Bills for this, but I will not be surprised at all if the Jets get it. Alright, now we get to our 4 p.m. games, and most of them have playoff significance, but not this one to start off with, as it's the Cardinals at the Rams. As the Rams are trying to get their 3rd straight win in season, the Cardinals trying to end their season on a good note by winning 3 in a row. So, the Cardinals, last week, they spanked the Seahawks really well on the road, like always. Why can't the Seahawks beat the Cardinals at home? Why? It's been the case for like the last 5+ years and more. Why can't they ever beat them at home? Why? I don't get it. Meanwhile, the Rams had that hard-fought game against the 49ers, but they just couldn't get eliminated them from the playoffs. The first team to miss the playoffs after losing the Super Bowl since the 2016 Panthers. Has not been their season. But, of course, I'm picking the Rams to win this one unless the Cardinals decide to pull off another upset in the works. And now we get to our games with playoff significance, starting off with the Raiders at the Broncos. As the Raiders are trying to avoid their first non-losing season since 2016. For the Raiders, they are still in the playoffs. In order to get into the playoffs, they need to win, and they need the Steelers, Titans, and Colts to they need the Steelers and Titans to lose and the Colts to win, and they'll get in by strength of victory and make the playoffs for the first time since 2016 as the 6th seed. They can still get in, but that's a lot of shit to go their way. Steelers need to lose, Titans need to lose, Colts need to win, and of course they need to beat the Broncos, which is not going to be easy whatsoever. But anyways, the Raiders got that impressive victory against the Chargers, finally ended their 4-game losing streak, and the Broncos, I think they've won 2 in a row now, I believe. And they're definitely looking a lot better than they were at the beginning of the part of the year. And they're gonna give the Raiders one hell of an effort to say the least. But sorry, Raiders, unless you have one massive impressive performance, I'm picking the Broncos to get this. And then it's the Eagles at the Giants. So for the Eagles, if they win or the Cowboys lose or tie, the Eagles will clinch the playoff spot for the 3rd year in a row, and they'll clinch the NFC East for the first time since 2017. All they have to do is just win, as they had that incredible defensive performance against the Cowboys, although the offense still sucks immensely. And the Giants, Daniel Jones came back, and he had one hell of a game. Like 5 touchdowns, however, one in overtime in an offensive shootout against the Redskins. That was very impressive. Oh boy, that's what a tough one to pick. The Giants haven't beaten the Eagles at home since 2016, but other than last year, the games when these two play are actually pretty close usually the last bunch of years. And you know what? In an upset, I'm actually going to pick the Giants for this one because I don't trust the Eagles whatsoever, as their offense can't do shit, and if they allow over 17 points, they're probably going to lose it. So that's why I'm in an upset going to pick the Giants to get this. And then it's the Colts at the Jaguars, as the Colts try to get a 2nd straight non-losing season, as the Colts need to win to help the Raiders get into the playoffs, as they destroyed the Panthers last week, ending their 4-game losing streak. Meanwhile, the Jaguars, of course, got their asses kicked by the Falcons to no one's surprise. I'm actually going to pick the Colts for this, although, don't underestimate the Jaguars. You haven't beaten them down in Jacksonville since, 2014? And you're kind of a struggling team right now, so don't be surprised if the Jaguars actually get a win right here, but I'm picking the Colts for this. And then a big one, the Titans at the Texans. As the Texans, if they win, of course they'll have the 4th seed wrapped up if the Chiefs win too. But if they win and the Chiefs lose, they can move up to the 3rd seed. So they need to win here and they need to hope the Chiefs lose to get a better seeding perhaps. Meanwhile, the Titans, if they win, they will be in the playoffs for the first time since 2017. And of course, they would be visiting the Chiefs in this scenario in order to get in. But they need to win here. Oh boy, now we saw what happened in round 1 when these two met. The Texans got on the road in a weird-ass game. The Titans, of course, blew it against the Saints. And the Texans barely beat the Buccaneers, surprisingly, in a really hard-fought match. Now, of course, the Texans are at home and all, so it's all favored. But, of course, the Titans, usually, historically, like the last bunch of years when the Texans beat the Titans on the road, the Titans would get their revenge. It kind of reminded me, too, of 2011 when the situation was this predicament for the Titans as well to get into the playoffs. Although the Titans are much better and all, I'm going to pick the Texans still to win this, but I'm sure the Titans will end up getting it and getting into the playoffs. And if they get into the playoffs, oh boy, they're definitely going to be scary for the Chiefs, that's for sure. And then it's the Redskins at the Cowboys. So for the Cowboys, if they win and the Eagles lose, they'll make it to the playoffs and win the NFC East for the second year in a row. But if they lose or the Eagles win, they're eliminated. So they need to win this badly. As, of course, once again, they blew it against the Eagles last week. Can't do any offensive performance whatsoever. Dak throwing for 5,000 yards. Can't get a few touchdowns or whatever. That offense sucks so bad. As the Redskins, of course, had that high-flying offensive performance against the Giants, but wasn't enough to get it in overtime. And, of course, unless the Redskins have an upset in the works and they haven't beaten the Cowboys down in Arlington since 2015, I'm picking the Cowboys for this, and they would they would win the NFC East with my picks. And then the big one too, the Steelers at the Ravens. As the Ravens, of course, already got home field advantage all wrapped up. They're going to be resting their stars. And for the Steelers, if they win and the Titans lose, they will get into the playoffs for the first time since 2017 actually. And oh boy, I'm not liking this because the Ravens are resting their stars since they got home field advantage all wrapped up and all, but I actually don't agree with it. I want them to have the stars for 2 reasons. One, it would be nice if they can win to get the 14-2 to have their best season ever, beating their 13-3 record from 2006. But more importantly, I'm worried shitless about the Steelers getting into the playoffs if they play the Ravens again. Because they could probably beat the Ravens here, regardless if they star or not. But then if they get in, they would probably play the Chiefs or Texans. And then if they do beat the Chiefs or Texans, they would then visit the Ravens again. And I just don't trust the Ravens to keep up and beat the Steelers once again. Because that's historically like the last bunch of years. The Ravens haven't beaten the Steelers at home since 2016. And usually when they split it, like when the Ravens beat the Steelers up in Heinz Field, the Steelers come down here and come down to Baltimore and beat them there too. That's the trend for like the last, God, honestly, historically too, when they flip the matches around. That's almost always been the case, so that's why I'm not trusting the Steelers, and I really want the Ravens to make sure they lose and knock them out of the playoffs. But since they're going to rest their starters and all, and the Steelers are so desperate to get into the playoffs, and they desperately need this win, and of course the history shows it, I'm picking the Steelers to get this. And then we get to Sunday night, and it's a huge one with so much shit on the line, as it's the 49ers at the Seahawks. And hey, maybe this rivalry from the early 2010s could finally be renewed. How nostalgic that is. So anyways, there's so much shit for this. For the 49ers, if they just win, they'll not only, or a tie too. Well, actually no, they'll need more than a tie to get everything. They'll need a win. But if they win, not only will they get the NFC West for the first time since 2012, not only will they get first round bye for the first time since 2012, they'll get home field advantage for the first time since 1997. It's all right there. Just win, and everything's all wrapped up. Meanwhile, for the Seahawks, there's a lot of things on the line. If they win, they'll win the NFC West for the first time since 2016. If they win, and either the Saints or Packers lose, they will get first round bye for the first time since 2014. But if they win, and if the Saints and Packers both lose, they will get home field advantage for the first time since 2014. So whoever wins this has a pretty good chance to get home field advantage. And of course, in the 49ers case, they will get home field advantage if they win this. This is huge across the board. As the 49ers managed to beat the Rams in that offensive shootout, made that comeback. They almost choked it too, looked like. And the Seahawks, I really don't get it. Why can't you ever beat the Cardinals at home when you're the superior team for like the last 5 years? Why can't you beat them? I don't get it. What is wrong with you? Why can't you just beat them? You regularly beat them down Glendale. Why can't you beat them up there? I don't get it. Oh my God. The Seahawks have really been struggling though these last bunch of weeks. It's pretty damn obvious. And honestly, let's be honest, 11-5, 12-4, whatever, they're definitely not either one of those records. They are not a good team whatsoever. And honestly, other than the Eagles or Cowboys, I think they're actually the weakest team in the NFC. I'm not kidding when I'm saying that. They're really that not good. Win way too many close games. They're not blowing anyone out like at least the 49ers are doing so in that regard. And you know what? The Seahawks, of course, likewise the Cardinals, also usually struggle when they host the 49ers too, believe it or not, the last bunch of years. So with that in mind, and the implications, I'm actually going to pick the 49ers to get this in an upset. How about that? So those are my picks for Week 17. And of course, if the season ended today with my picks, here would be the current playoffs bracket. As in the AFC, Ravens would be number 1, Patriots number 2, Chiefs number 3, Texans number 4, Bills number 5, and Steelers number 6. And the NFC would be 49ers number 1, Packers number 2, Saints number 3, Cowboys number 4, Seahawks number 5, and Vikings is the 6th seed. So for my picks in the current predicament, wild card Steelers at Chiefs. I would be worried about the Steelers if I were you, Chiefs, but I think you can still get the win. Bills at Texans. I'm actually going to pick the Bills in an upset. Vikings at Saints, it'll be the Saints. Seahawks at Cowboys, between really struggling teams. Oh, God, that would be a defensive struggle. But hey, I trust Russell Wilson more than I trust Dak Prescott, so I actually might pick the Seahawks this time around in the rematch from last year. Then the divisional round. Bills at Ravens will probably be a defensive struggle, but I think the Ravens can get it. And then the Chiefs at Patriots. That one we're unsure about. The Chiefs are playing better than the Patriots right now, but of course the Patriots always do better in the rematch, especially in the playoffs. So I actually might pick the Patriots to get that still. And then Seahawks at 49ers. I'll pick the 49ers for that. And then Saints at Packers. Oh boy. The Saints are definitely going to give the Packers hell of an effort, but I'm not fully sure if they could beat the Packers yet, especially since I haven't seen them play yet this year. So I might pick the Packers still to get this. And then Patriots at Ravens. Ravens should not underestimate the Patriots, but the Patriots have been very bad against bad teams this year, good teams this year. So I'm actually going to pick the Ravens still to get this. And then Packers at 49ers. We saw how they got their asses kicked against the 49ers earlier. So I'm going to pick the 49ers again. So with that, Super Bowl 54 will be a rematch of 7 years later. Ravens and 49ers down in Miami. But this time at a neutral site right now, I'm picking the 49ers to get this. We saw them almost beat the Ravens in Baltimore, and they did a pretty good job stopping Lamar. That's going to be the main reason any team is going to beat the Ravens in the playoffs this year. And the 49ers have shown to me that they could do that, so I'm going to pick the 49ers beating the Ravens in the Super Bowl. But hey, those are my picks, and that's if the season ends how I think it would be with my picks. But tune in on Monday morning or whenever I get to make my picks for my playoff picks, and we'll see what happens then. See you guys then.